Hi, hello, and welcome everybody to this brand new video. In case you're new here, hi, my name is Viv, and I do book content on YouTube and Instagram. So the plan for today is not talking about a specific book, but if you are like me and you read way too many books, there is no such thing as too many books, but if you are like me and you read a lot, you need a way to track your reading. And you have multiple options. You can either do your own book journal, you can put your books in there, make your own rating system. That's the most control that you have. You could do an Excel sheet and be like an overachiever and deal with Excel, which is a whole other thing. Or you could use a reading app. Now, there are so many reading apps, and today I'm going to talk about 8 of them to just give you an overview of what's out there and what my personal opinions is, because I tried all of them out. And I have things to say about them. So let's go! So I'm going to move a little bit to the side so that I can put the information on the app right here, because I'm going to do an overview, right? So the first one we're going to start with is Goodreads. We all know Goodreads. We've all had Goodreads. We all have Goodreads. Goodreads has pro and cons to it. First of all, Goodreads is part of Amazon, so that's a whole deal. I think the reason why we all have Goodreads is because Goodreads has this huge social aspect. You can follow your friends, you can check out what your friends are reading, and that's the good thing about it. The only issue that I have with Goodreads is that it looks like it's stuck in 2012. Goodreads has probably not been updated in years. The rating system is so horrible. You have these 5 stars that you can give. You cannot give half stars even if you wanted to. You can't give quarter stars, even though that's not a must, but half stars would be great. You cannot add other ratings. I would love to see Goodreads add like a spice rating for romance books or a tension rating for thrillers. I'm going to show you a great example for this rating system later on in another app. The second thing I have to say about Goodreads is there are no statistics. Goodreads does not do reading statistics. The only statistic you have is your reading goal that you set at the beginning of the year. And then it's just, okay, you've read, I don't know, 140 books. That's just me. That's not realistic, but you've read 25 books this year. But you don't have anything other than this reading goal. You could do so much more. The next thing I have to say about Goodreads is the tagging system. I like to label my books into categories so that me, as a content creator for books, I can find these faster. I have like a category for, say, single dad romances, and then I can just go into that category and they all pop up on the screen, which is good for me, right? So that makes my job easier in finding them and remembering them. But the way that Goodreads does it is you have like a shelf, and then you can't even name the shelf whatever you want. You can just use one single word, and if you use multiple words, then it just attaches them with a dash. Why? I have questions, and you don't have answers. The thing that you can do, however, is then like select the shelf and then look at all the books, which is a good thing, because some of the apps that I'm looking at here, they don't have that. Okay, so now the next app we're going to be talking about is Storygraph. Storygraph has the best statistics out there. There's not just the reading statistics where you can see how many books you read in what month, on what day. That's like the bare minimum, and Storygraph does a lot better because they have statistics for the tropes that you make, your little categories, for the kind of book that you're reading. So it will tell you this many romance books, this many fiction, this many fantasy, and it will put books into multiples. So for me, for example, if a book is a romance with a fantasy, it will be in romance and fantasy. So overall, that's a little meh. But Storygraph is completely free. There is technically like a paid version, I think. I've never used that. It works just fine with the Goodreads upload. How do you upload your Goodreads data? Now, you go into your browser. For this, you need to be in your browser. You go there, you go into Goodreads, and then you go into the My Books category. You scroll down, and on the left, there is like way at the bottom, import, export. Go over and you export that as a CSV file. That's all you need. And then you can upload this CSV file in all of the apps where you can actually do a Goodreads upload. There is also a social media aspect to this app, so you can compare yourself to others. I've just never used that personally, but I know people that do. The rating system on there is also a little better because you can give 0.25 stars, so you can give like a quarter of a star to a book, and that way you can like I think it's just easier if you can give half stars. So tagging on there is possible, and your tags are searchable. So you can just like add a tag with the book that you're reading, and then you can search the tags later. I would love to see with this one as well a better rating system like the one I'm going to show you now. The next app I'm going to show you is TBR Bookshelf. Now, in order to get your Goodreads data into this, you need to have the full version. There is a way to get a 7-day trial, and then when you have that 7-day trial, you have the pro version for 7 days for free, and then you can add your Goodreads data in there. I'm not sure if then later on you have more restrictions. The app itself is $5.50 a month, or then like, I think it's $20 per year if you get the yearly plan. My price range for apps is like, if it's over $1, I'm not gonna buy it. But then I realized like, okay, that's like 2 books worth. That what this app costs a year is like 2 books. And if it's a really good app, then I would be willing to pay that. But not if there's things missing. And there's always things missing. Let's talk about this. The rating system in this is so great. You can just go into the book, you can give an overall rating, and then you can go through all the categories. And depending on what kind of book you choose, if you go for a fantasy or for a romance, it has different categories of labeling. So if you pick romance, then there's a spice rating. But in thrillers, there is no spice rating. There is a tension rating. The only thing that bothers me about this is later on that you cannot search for this. For example, if you pick, okay, this is a 5 out of 5 spicy book, you cannot later go in and search, okay, I want all the books that I've labeled maximum spice. It would be nice. It would be maybe a feature that they could add, and then this would honestly be the perfect rating system for me. But it's not been happening yet. But maybe they see this video, and maybe you are like an app developer and you're watching this and you're like, what could I add? Do this, please. The next thing about this app is that there are tags that you can add as well. It's really easy. You can just type them in, but later on, you cannot search for these tags, so you just added them, and then you have to click on the book to see the tags, and there are no categories where you can find the individual tags, which would just make my life so much easier. Now, the statistics in this app are simply just for reading. Like, you can see how many books you've read in a certain time, in a month, which is a good starting point for statistics, but not like Storygraph level of statistics, which is like what I would wish for. That's like top tier statistics. What I would also like to mention, these search features in these are all horrible. Like, the only app that has a decent search feature is Goodreads, so you can just add your book in there and then it finds the book that you're looking for relatively fast. That's because the algorithm is really good and they spend money, like Amazon spends money on this algorithm. Issue is that the others don't do that. So when you type in, for example, I did this with anatomy, you have like textbooks that come up and you have anatomy studies that come up instead of the book that you're actually looking for, and for me it always shows up in the wrong language. Might be like a regional thing because I live in Germany, but I don't know. Moving on to the next app that also has a messed up search algorithm, but we're not going to be talking about that any further. The next app is one that I've been using for a while, but I've recently stopped using for 2 reasons. So this is Book Tracker. First thing about Book Tracker that you need to know, this is only for iOS. So you can only use that if you have a Mac, an iPad, or an iPhone. So Book Tracker does not have a social media aspect. So you cannot communicate with others, you can't compare your reading goals with other people, which is fine. But you can track your own reading. The only tracking that it does is it tracks when you read what book, when you listen to what audiobook. It separates books from audiobooks, which I'm not really sure why it does that. You listen to audiobooks, why don't they count in your general reading statistics? The main reason why I stopped using this app was the horrible search algorithm, which just always gave me the wrong books. Some of the books that I read weren't on there, which wasn't the best experience because I then had to add them and it was a whole thing. But the worst thing was they changed their rating system and they made it so much worse. Before it was a general just like 1 to 5, and you could add like half stars, quarter stars. It was fine. And then they fixed it so that now you can add 1 to 10 stars and you can also have half stars and quarter stars. I don't need that many stars. Like, how many stars do you expect me to give this? Also, that way, all my old ratings were then deleted because I hadn't like rated them on a scale from 1 to 10, so they just deleted all of them. I didn't like that. What I do like about this app is the way that you can have your categories. So you can just go through, create your own, and then you have like a color sorting system through them, and then you can just tap them and go through each of them for the books that you want. And then later on you can just go through each category and you can see what kind of books are in there. I really like that. It's nice. This one is, however, a little more pricey. I think of all of the ones that you have to pay for, this is the cheapest. It's $11.99, like for a one-time purchase, for like a lifetime access. You need this full version, this paid-for version, to do your Goodreads upload. That's just what it is. That's how they get you to go in there, because you need it for your Goodreads. There is also a monthly version where you just pay, I think it's $1.99 per month, which is also fine if you just want to test it out. The next one is Reado. I don't know. It's this one. I like the way that this looks. I like the way that they have all the covers looking beautiful. I like the way that when you add tags to the books and like categories, you can go through them like an individual bookshelf, and it really looks very pretty. Now, this again only has reading statistics for how much you read in a specific month, in a specific time. I've just realized that they also have like a social media aspect to them, so you can technically add like blog posts and stuff. I've not used this app all too much because I was just a little overwhelmed with it, and I wasn't feeling this one. I don't like the look of it as much because it's like in a constant dark mode, and I prefer a lighter look to the apps that I use, just because I feel like the dark mode isn't my thing. That's not my vibe. In this app, you can give half stars, and that's all fine. You have the rating limits of 5 stars, where I'm not complaining here. That's good. Also, a big plus of this is completely free. Like, you don't have to pay anything. You don't have to pay to upload your Goodreads data. Horrible search algorithm. Again, it's always horrible. The next one that I have that I want to mostly complain about, I'm sorry, is this one. It's called Bookshelf, just Bookshelf. There is no 7-day trial for this, so I tried out the 1-month version for $5.99, and I have to say I wasn't really impressed. This is definitely not going to be the app that I use for the rest of my life. There is no social media aspect, and they do have like statistics for reading, but I feel like this app is specifically made to get you to read more. For the rating system, you can add half stars, but you cannot add tags. And I cannot use a book rating system where I can't add my tags, where I can't later look them up again, so this one just isn't it for me. I am just now editing this, and I actually found the categories. I found where you can add the book into your specific category. It's just very hidden, but I found it, so it is possible. I still don't like the app, even though it's been 2 days, and I since still tried to use it. I don't like it. But the rating system itself is alright. It was fine. The next one is Bookly. Now, Bookly does not have a social media or like socializing feature. It does, however, have an AI that is included in the full version. I'm not sure what I would need an AI for, but apparently it can give you like book recommendations. I thought this was really fun. I won't be using it, but it was something different. Now, the statistics on this are just for reading. It seems like this whole app is mostly focused on getting you to read more. You can set yourself an alarm, you can set a timer on how much you want to read each day, and then you just start to read a book, you tap it, and then you later fill in how many pages you read, and that's just how that thing works, which is not for me. I need an app to track the books that I have read, not the books that I'm currently reading. I read enough as it is. I don't need to read more. It does, however, cost $4.99 to upload your Goodreads data into this app, so just be aware of that. So with that, we're actually at the last app that I want to talk about. This is the Leo reading tracker. Again, there is no social media aspect, and the statistics are just for your reading time. So again, you could just look up how many books I've read in the past, how many months, years, whatever, but there is no statistics like the ones that I want, where I can see, okay, I've read this and this trope however many times. The rating system itself only has full stars, so you can't give half stars. It's just full stars, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and no additional rating, so you can't go in and give it a spiced rating if you wanted to. You can, however, use tags, but again, you can't filter by tags. So you can just have your tags, but you can't filter them. And cost-wise, this is the one that bothers me the most. So this is free, but there's ads. So there is no way to pay away the ads. There is just this free version, that's the only version, and then they pay their way through it with ads. I don't like that. Like, if I really enjoy a reading app, I'm willing to pay money for that. But if there's not even the option to pay to have no ads, then what are we even doing here? Those were all of the apps. Now let's sum this up and build our own perfect app. This is generally mostly concerning people who work at Goodreads and like have power over that, because I love the social media aspect. I love that you have like your friends there, you can see what they update, you can see their ratings, you can add your little reviews. I love that. I just wished that they had a better layout, they had a better rating system, they had a better way to sort through your tags, and they made it overall just like a lot more visually pleasing. In conclusion, it's just, I like Goodreads, just not all the time. And there are so many different ones that I still cannot say which one I'm using. So I generally use Goodreads for its social component. Then I use the TBR shelf one for the rating system because I just like that so much. And I am hoping that if I actually write them like an email and I'm like, okay, you know what, I'm a content creator, it would help me so much if I could just sort through the tags, that they will add that feature, because I don't feel like that's too hard, and they have like a suggestions tab. So I might just write an email and say, hi, you know what? I have an idea here. And then this app would be so great. And then Storygraph, I use like once a year for my yearly wrap up to see how many books I've read, how many pages I've read, and everything. So that was it. That was a lot of information in a little time, but I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you all for the next video. Bye and have a nice day. Now I'm pretty sure that in all of the clips that you saw earlier, you saw me looking up this book and putting it into all of the ratings, just because this is a hard one to like find in the search. But this is actually a really great book. This is Anatomy. We have a sort of Bridgerton setting, but none of the weird things. This one's set in the Regency era. We have fancy ball gowns. We have a lady of like higher birth who wants to become a doctor. And to do that, she has to pretend to be a man so that she can go to school and learn how to be a surgeon. There is this whole thing where they have to get the bodies for learning how to do surgery and how to perform surgery. So there is, on the other hand, this grave robbing community that just digs up dead bodies for the surgeons to practice on. And this is a love story, in case you wouldn't have guessed that, because it says a love story. It's really fun though, and you might want to pick it up. It's a YA book also. And with that, I'm gonna say goodbye. Have a nice day!